to another episode of Agric. Today on ARSN Television, Mabushi Abuja, I am Khadija Oluwatoyin Amin. This week we focus on the launch of the 2022 National Agricultural Sample Census Report by the federal government. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security, in collaboration with the National Bureau of Statistics, World Bank and other key stakeholders, has launched the 2022 National Agricultural Sample Census Report.
And pride that will mark the official launch of National Agricultural Sample Census Report 2022. This comprehensive report stands as a testament to the collaborative efforts of our dedicated farmers, researchers, policymakers, and all the other stakeholders, World Bank, FAO, and our dear ministry, Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. The insights and data captured in this report are crucial for shaping the future of agriculture in our nation. They provide a solid foundation for informed decision-making, strategic planning, and policy formulation aimed at enhancing productivity, sustainability, and economic growth. The NASP Report 2022 not only highlights the current state of the agricultural sector, but also points towards promising opportunities and challenges that lies ahead. A nation without planning cannot grow, and that is why this data is very important and critical. I understand the last time it was conducted was about 30 years ago. So this just shows that we're doing the right thing, and of course we'll get to the promised land very soon. We at NAIC, we're overseas. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone who contributed to this monumental task. Your hard work, commitment, and unwavering support have made this achievement possible. As we move forward, let us continue to work together to ensure that our agricultural sector remains resilient, innovative, and prosperous. I'd like to say that this urban development, urban farming is very important.
Into checking the agricultural survey of what has been done previously, and I stumbled on a draft copy that possibly was not presented the way this one has been presented. And the statistics, the data I found there was very interesting. And it goes further to buttress the fact of what Benjamin Franklin said, that if you fail to plan, you are actually planning to fail. So a country like Nigeria, the giant of Africa, with over 200 million human beings, thousands of arable lands, fertile for all kinds of agricultural production, cannot be without a data of this nature. So let me pause and appeal that we congratulate the Bureau of Statistics for putting this together and giving Nigeria a data that Nigeria can work. Part of what I saw in that very draft of 2010 and 2011 that was presented, it was a draft copy, clearly shows that men lead in agriculture in Nigeria. And I want to believe that the current one that has just been presented is equally driving in that direction, that men should continue to lead in agricultural production in Nigeria. It equally further revealed some states that are very viable in terms of different set of production. And let me equally pause and say this, please. Just like we have 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, it would not be out of place, sir, if we equally have 6 geo-agricultural zones cut across the length and breadth of Nigeria. So the way we ventilate politics, we should equally zero in and have a time zone in our country where every single person knows that this season is for agriculture, it's not politics. So some of us are in the green chamber, my senior man in the red chamber. We will all leave the green chamber and the red chamber and go to our different places to do agriculture. Because when I was much younger, in my primary and secondary school, I was taught that agriculture is the mainstay of any nation. And any nation that cannot feed itself is not actually fit to be a nation. And Nigeria, without an iota of doubt, has every indices and every resources, not just to feed ourselves and our population, but to feed the world. I listened to the Minister of National Planning, National Planning and Budget the other time, not in a forum like this. He said the agricultural sector in Nigeria can accommodate nothing less than $3 trillion. We have the space, we have the time, we have the intellect to make it happen. But what, to a very great extent, stop that from happening is because we do not have the data that can drive policy direction for those that have these resources, these funds, to bring it to Nigeria. And with what has just been launched today, I have no doubt in my spirit that Nigeria is in for an agricultural boom.
This report should have come much earlier than now. But I think it's better late than never. We all appreciate that planning cannot be done without data in whatever sector. And in the agricultural sector, which is the dominant sector, the primary sector of Nigerian economy, planning is vital. I haven't seen, well, I have seen, but I haven't read the report. I will go through it because my own profession is an old teacher and head of the Department of Agricultural Economics in Advert University in the 80s and the 90s. I think I may be able to appreciate some of the issues that are being discussed in the report. I hope, without seeing the report, that data and information on agricultural value chains are also included. Because this is one of the most important development direction, development linchpin that is hampering the development of this country. What do I mean by value chains? By value chains, I mean not just focusing on the structure of primary relationship, but we should also look at the demand structure. Economies are driven by demand. And once processing and industrial usage, you don't connect production with processing, you have a problem. So apart from having primary data on primary production and households who are engaged in agriculture, we should also, I hope, in the report, have data on agricultural processors and industrial end users. Because without stimulation of demand from those sectors, we will end up not creating the kind of yields that are required. I'm an old agricultural researcher, having been in the Institute of Agricultural Research when we were in the Department of Economics. I was in the Department of Agricultural Economics. We traverse the length and breadth of this country, gathering data and information, bringing about extension programs, going to the farmers. There is no part of this country that we have not traveled to. And we know the nature of Nigerian agriculture. But the major problem that we face is the problem of connecting production, processing, and industrial usage. So I hope maybe in the next survey, or is an addendum, I'm talking to my colleague and brother, the Minister of State, about the need not only to create a smaller data collecting institution in the Ministry of Agriculture, but also pursue this direction of moving and connecting production, processing, and industrial usage. Without that, you cannot grow agriculture. Once again, I will want to thank the Food and Agriculture Organization, the World Bank, and all the institutions that have assisted the national growth statistics, to at least come up with a comprehensive report. And I hope future reports are going to be more inclusive and there will be an improvement on what we have today.
According to the National Bureau of Statistics, this report marks the first national agricultural sample census since the year 1993. The report aims to provide robust data on agricultural activities, enhancing food and nutrition security, as well as fostering economic growth.
Data is key. The moment I resumed on my duties as special advisor, I got very, very familiar with the MBS because I know that no matter what we do, if the numbers aren't well captured and if the numbers are saying, whatever the numbers are saying is the reality. Okay, so therefore data is key. And I think we're getting to know this more and more. It's said that data is the new oil, the new gold, the new everything. And therefore we need to own our data. In order to own that data, the first thing you do before it becomes data is not just numbers. It's anything you can capture. First of all, is to capture data. When you capture data, you store data. And then you process data, and then you can get on to data mining and all of that. We live in the age of big data now. I've seen many instances where in Nigeria, private sector, public sector, I've seen data being wasted. Sometimes thrown away, sometimes not regarded. But whoever can lay their hands on those data know that that's money that they were working with. This report also captures the importance of land and agriculture. Of course, food security is the first level of security before you start talking of other kind of physical security. When the people are hungry, then the people are angry, and you have tinderbox on your hand. And therefore, of course, we know what's going on now. Food security at 40.66%. Food inflation at 40.66%. It's a little bit heavy for our people to bear. We're hoping that those numbers begin to come down very soon. But we all are responsible. Nigeria is blessed. Everybody knows Nigeria is blessed. You need to just go out there and look at the lushness of our environment, even in dry season. I once picked up an American lady from the airport, first time in Nigeria, about 10, 15 years ago, and she was shocked because what she had always heard, she never knew that Nigeria was like this, was like, it's so green. I said, well, it's not scorched earth here entirely, but we're lucky as well. And so, this is very important. Quickly, I just want to say that there's one initiative I'm also pushing, and that's urban agriculture. Beyond what Honorable Clement also suggested, which is can we recalibrate NYSC more into that area? It used to be, NYSC used to be 70-80% about agriculture. But now everybody wants to serve in Abuja, maybe for obvious reasons and so on. But what about urban agriculture? With tomato, a basket of tomatoes selling at 150,000 naira, we've got a problem. And so, but urban agriculture can help. And that's also going to help us to begin to limit the kind of inflation that we're seeing. I'm working on initiatives that will not only solve the inflation we have immediately, but also begin to help us into the future with managing inflation. Urban agriculture, almost all of us here grew up having some sort of farms our parents had. But now, as much as we are now rice consumers and pizza consumers, our tastes haven't changed so drastically that we don't know whether we're Americans or we're Asians or whatever anymore. But that means that we also need to tell ourselves to go back to the fundamentals.
Speaking at the launch event, which held in Abuja, the Minister of State for Agriculture and Food Security, Dr. Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, highlighted the importance of data gathered from the census. He emphasized that the information would support evidence-based policy and decision-making across various sectors of the economy, aligning with the Renew Hope agenda in the agricultural sector. Senator Abdullahi noted that the NASC would equip the ministry with vital statistics to monitor agricultural food supply and identify development opportunities within the sector.
We want to thank the National Bureau of Statistics who made what we are doing today possible. I want to congratulate you for breaking the jinx after almost 30 years. Incidentally, at the beginning of that number of years we are talking about, I found myself in that system. And I was a member of the Technical Committee on Agricultural Data Management. And I knew all efforts to get that thing moving never got the required attention. So it's not surprising that you are saying one of the challenges and going forward is funding. Most times people don't understand what data means. But today, thank God for technology. Just like the Special Advisor on Economic Affairs said, data is good today. And I think the agricultural activities in this country, if we do more job, if we fund more, we are going to come out with far more than what you have. And I believe, maybe perhaps because of some of the insecurity challenges you have talked about, if we have done a much more robust and comprehensive than what was done here, definitely we should get far more than 40.2 million households. But even at this, if you look at the average Nigerian household, it's about 7 members on the average. If you say 4, that is underrepresentation. You end up having some people gathered at one extreme end, and then, so maybe if you take an average of 7, as we were discussing with my lecturer here and former leader of the Senate, that means Nigeria's population of 220 we're talking about is really underlisted. Because at 7 and what you have here, we're talking about almost 280 million, for example. So definitely those who say Nigeria's population is growing, rising towards 300, I think they're right. What does this mean to all of us? It means that we are able to measure. And I remember vividly, whatever you are able to measure, you'll be able to manage. That, to me, this is the most important point that we have now come to. On a lighter note, this is to say that all along we've just been grappling, trying to find a way to handle our sector. But with this information today, I think the management of our sector will become much more robust, which is exactly what we are out to do under the Renewed Hope agenda. And as you can see, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is very clear. Food security is a top priority. Economic growth with job creation and poverty reduction. And you also have inclusivity. Now, if you look at all of this, there is no one sector that is able to combine the delivery of all of this as the agricultural sector. And I think that shows the significance of what we are doing today. Coming at the beginning of the first year of the Renewed Hope agenda, definitely this is good omen and this is good projection. So I want to assure Nigerians that going forward, we now know we have at least 40.2 million households. And we cannot but wait for that sample survey that will show us exactly what is where. But even before then, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is currently operating with this year's budget. We have already anticipated all of these issues. Some of the things we are getting from you is now a validation of our thought process and a few data that we'll be able to use to plan our 2024 annual appropriation, for example. And earlier, I think my honorable brother said, when you look at the policy direction with respect to youth, that maybe he thinks agriculture is not in the direction of the youth. I think I beg to disagree, my brother. What we have seen, in fact, that has been the situation before. When youths will say, I am not ready to go into agriculture with hoe and cutlass. That's some years back. But as it is today, I want to assure you and to inform you that the youth are the ones now leading and driving the next wave of agricultural revolution we're going to see. The Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security will begin to do more robust management and ensure that we work round the clock to reverse the current trend. Because the vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is for us to transform the Nigerian agricultural system and the food system to be transformed into a more sustainable and secure food system for our citizens. In fact, he has said it several times that his vision is to see a Nigeria where no Nigerian goes to bed hungry.
The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, commended the government and development partners for their support in producing the report. He remarked that the census outcome exemplifies the achievements possible through robust collaboration among stakeholders.
I'm pleased when this report uses what is available by the National Population Commission in terms of geospatial data. And so we congratulate all, and indeed we congratulate our development partners for supporting this report. The report came after a very long time, and statistics is important. And I'm glad that both the chairman of the Senate Committee on National Planning and Economic Development is here, and as well as the deputy chairman of the House, because this planning tool, particularly in a federation, determines a lot of progress we can make, especially when, as part of our 8 priority areas, part of the 8 priorities of the renewed hope agenda is both macroeconomic reforms and agriculture and food security. And where, given that we're a federation, where power is split between the federal, states, and local governments, and the Constitution, in particular Section 16A of the 5th alteration of the Constitution, made food security a key element of state policy, meaning we have to design, we have to come up with how our agricultural system will work, even in spite of the separation of powers between the 3 different levels of federal and subnationals. Of course, we are not alone. We are lucky that we share the federation arrangement with other countries, and in our history we have done well, and we have the ability to learn from the experience of others. Just as I was sitting next to the representative of the county director, of the World Bank, he was sharing with me what they did in India to create a delivery platform at as localized level as possible. And luckily in Nigeria, we also have about 8,809 geographical entities which are recognized by our Constitution as one. So we are currently in the process of drawing a governance structure that will ensure that in each ward we know what is happening, we know what programs are there, we know, and this data can only help us make tests quickly.
The Executive Secretary of the Agricultural Research Council of Nigeria, ARCN, Professor Hamidu Garba Sharubutu, in his remarks, highlighted the activities of the Council and institution it superintends.
Research Council of Nigeria. This is a council that is mandated to supervise and coordinate the activities of about 16 agricultural research institutes, as well as 16 colleges of agriculture. in Nigeria. I really want to congratulate the Director General and on the dictates of the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and the Ministry as a whole. The Director General will recall that I led a team of our provost and executive directors to your office in the presence of Advert to actually discuss the issue of data generation. We have had bitter experience of having to be presenting data that are variant with what is coming from the National Bureau for Statistics. And there we all agreed and we are planning a memorandum of understanding in order to make available most of our structures.
The census revealed that Nigeria has about 40.2 million agricultural households, of them 91% cultivated crops, 35% practice only crop cultivation, and 48% reported raising various types of livestock. If properly harnessed, they are expected to meet the needs and yearnings of Nigerians. And it's on that note that we wrap up for this week. Please join us again next week for another educational episode of Agric Today. I am Khadija Oluwatoyin saying bye for now.